Very good. But just to begin. Just checking we're good to begin.
Right to begin.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Waverley Local Planning Panel of the 25th of September 2024. My name is David Ryan and I'm the state appointed chair of the panel. With me on today's panel are Elizabeth Kincaid and Sharon Beale as the expert panel members, and Jessie Lockhart-Cross as the local representative on the panel. Before we commence, the panel respectfully acknowledges our Indigenous heritage and recognises the ongoing Aboriginal traditional custodianship of the land which forms the Waverley local government area. So we have no apologies, declarations of interest. Prior to this meeting, all panel members completed a declaration of interest form for items on today's meeting agenda. I wish to declare interest in 2 items on today's agenda. They relate to item 1, for a staff member of my planning consultancy company is a member of Council's Design Excellence Advisory panel that considered this item. This could raise a perception of an interest for me in determining the application. And item 4, my company has provided planning advice to one of the listed objectors on this application. This raises a perceived conflict of interest in this application for me. I have not and will not take any part in the deliberations on either of these items. When the items are called during the meeting, I will hand over the chairmanship to Elizabeth Kincaid to chair that meeting, that item. I will now call on each of the panel members to make any declarations of interest. Elizabeth Kincaid.
I have no declarations of interest.
Thank you. Sharon Beale.
I have no declarations of interest. Thank you, Chair.
Lockhart-Cross.
I have no declarations of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Under the local planning panel code of conduct, panelists are required to lodge with the chair an annual return disclosing interests. Returns must be tabled at the first panel meeting after the lodgement deadline, which is this meeting. All panelists have lodged their returns. Redacted returns will be published on Council's website in accordance with the Council's Code of Conduct. Procedures relating to today's meeting. We'll now commence the public hearing component of the meeting. I will introduce each item in the order listed in the agenda, and we'll then call on each person who has registered to speak on that item. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make their presentation, which will, the third minute, will be identified with a sound of a buzzer. And I request that you have wound up or wind up quickly after that time. I do have some discretion to consider an extension to that time if appropriate. The applicant will then be provided an opportunity to address the panel and respond to the matters raised by objectors. Panel members may ask questions of any speaker. After all items are completed, I will then close the public part of the meeting and the panel will deliberate on all of the items. The minutes of the meeting will then be made publicly available on Council's website within a day or 2 of the meeting. I'll now proceed to the hearing of the items. Item number 1 is 122 Bronte Road, Bronte. And as I have declared an interest, I'll hand over to Elizabeth Kincaid to chair this item.
Thank you, David. Okay, so as David mentioned, this is 122 Bronte Road, and I'll just read out the DA number. It's DA 336/20 22/A, and it's a modification to an approved development. We have two objectors who are registered to speak today, and we have the applicant as well. So in order on my list here, I'll start with Luri Sarabiani, and I apologise if I've incorrectly pronounced your name. But if you're happy to proceed, you have 3 minutes. There'll be a buzzer will go off up the 3 minutes, and we'll take it from there. And I'll see if you need any extra time. Is Luri Sarabiani on the call? Can council confirm?
They're not on.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We'll proceed to the next registered speaker, which is Jack Miller. Is Jack joined the Zoom meeting, council?
They're not on either.
Okay. Well, we have no registered objectors. We do have the written objections from both of those people, and they have been reviewed by the panel. We'll also now go to the applicant. I'm happy to provide the applicant 3 minutes, pardon me, to address the panel. And perhaps it would be helpful if the applicant could address the issues raised by the objectors. And then at the conclusion of your address to the panel, I'll see if the panel members have any questions. So I'll hand over to you. It's either Brian Mason, Amanda Stollery, or Anthony Betros.
G'day panel, Anthony Betros here. I'm town planner from ABC Planning, and we've got MHND Union Architects on the other screen as well. Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and we're supportive of the recommendation for approval. Happy to answer any questions, but also note the submissions that were raised. There was one address unknown, as you would have seen from council's report, and there was another from 39 Hollywood Avenue. In terms that the issues raised have been assessed by council and addressed. That included privacy, and you would note that the upper level is set back more than the already approved lower levels in terms of the relationship to surrounding buildings. And there's also conditions regarding privacy screening as well. In terms of the parking, council has addressed that in their report as well. As you would be aware, the site is in close proximity to the station and also numerous bus services here. And with service departments, it'd be mainly tourist. All those would not require parking on the site. Other issues are pretty minor. I don't think they require any assessment from myself, in my opinion. It was about some detail and things like that that council has dealt with. I'd just like to point out the glowing report from the Design Excellence Panel, which I think the architect should be commended for, and you would note that in council's report as well. That's it from a planning perspective, unless there's anything else that you wanted me to address.
Thanks, Anthony. I might just see if the other panel members have any questions for you, and also then to see if your architects wanted to address the panel. There is no need to, of course, but I'm happy to provide the opportunity if they want to take it. So Jessie or Sharon, do you have any questions for Anthony?
Perhaps not Anthony, but for the architects, just to make sure that they're comfortable with the conditions, particularly for heritage matters.
Madam Chair and panel, I think we're happy with the conditions. There's no problem with them, and so that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Jessie, do you have any? No. Okay. Okay, thank you. That concludes the public part of the meeting for item 1. So we will now, David will rejoin the meeting and take up the chair. Council, can you confirm if David is able to rejoin the meeting? I think I can see his name has come back on the screen.
I have admitted him, Elizabeth, and he's there, but to commute.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry, David, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Joys of technology. Item 2, DA 230/2024, 5 Tamarama Street, Tamarama. Construction of a pair of semi-detached dwellings with a new swimming pool and landscape works. I have no registered speakers for this item. We will move to item 3, DA 39/2024, numbers 38A and 38B, O'Donnell Street, North Bondi. Demolition of existing structures and construction of 2 3-story semi-detached dwellings with integrated car parking and swimming pool at the rear over 2 lots. I have 1 registered objector, Aaron Levin. Could you commence your presentation, please, Mr. Levin?
Hi, everybody. Aaron here. Thanks for the introduction. My first time speaking at council, so please bear with me. I love the design that the neighbours have put forward for how it looks aesthetically. It's a beautiful design, though I am concerned about some overshadowing and solar impacts to my property. I'm located next door at 36 O'Donnell Street, and the new proposed building comes back very far into this space just here next to me, and I'm in a glass room here, so there'll be no sun here during the winter months with the proposed design that's come forward. So adverse solar impact. We had I submitted on Monday just a note from a solar specialist, John, and his feedback to me was that the solar plans that had been provided to council are inadequate and don't really show the full impact of that development. And yeah, apart from that, it does look like on the plans that the height of the building is above the 7.5 meter guideline at the rear of the building, and it is quite close to the boundary wall. They have made provisions on the higher levels to move back from the boundary wall, but the lower levels are 0.9 from the boundary wall, so boxing us in quite closely here. On our side, there's about 2 meters to the boundary wall. So, yeah, that's all I have to share. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I think I had you down as Levin here, but I see you're Lewin. Is that correct?
Correct.
Apologies for getting
That's okay.
Any questions, Mr. Levin, any of the panelists? Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Do I jump off now or do I hang around? Sorry.
You can stay in the meeting, but you'll be escorted off the screen.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I have registered representative of the applicant, Jenny Askin and Anthony Jurek. Who'd like to come onto the meeting, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. My name's Jenny Askin and I'm the planning consultant acting on behalf of the applicant. Anthony Jurek is the architect and he's also available for any questions. First off, thank you for the opportunity to address you this afternoon. We would like to confirm that we welcome the recommendation of the report. We've got no objections to the conditions as recommended. The proposal that's before you today has come about from numerous discussions with Council, particularly in relation to clause 4.4a with exemptions to FSR, the concerns that were raised in the submissions, and also in relation to clause 4.4 in the calculation of site area. The clause 4.6 variation in relation to FSR is to address the technical breach due to the FSR being calculated in relation to the combined site area. So the subject sites were approved for subdivision in May of 2023. And therefore, this is a development for 2 semi-detached dwellings. That subdivision has also been registered. So given that each dwelling complies with the FSR control for its own site, the bulk and scale of each dwelling as proposed is as envisaged by the FSR standard for those individual lots. And also as confirmed in the report, the FSR does not cause any significant or unreasonable amenity impacts. With respect to solar access, so as set out in the report, the orientation of the site is not favourable in achieving sunlight. This has been discussed throughout the process with council, and also that's what resulted in us providing an additional setback at the upper level. The slope of the site also has an impact, given that it falls quite significantly away from the street and again from east to west. The non-compliance in the external wall height is a consequence as well of the steep slope of the site, with a greater degree to the southwestern section. The dwellings have been designed to step down the site with split levels both at ground and first floor. And this thing, we also have a presentation of 2-storey to the street, with the upper level, particularly at the rear, set in more than the levels below. So this has an impact of reducing that sense of enclosure on adjoining properties, and has also assisted with solar access to the eastern side. As mentioned by council, the solar access will achieve 2 hours of sun on the 21st of June to these windows. I'm happy to answer any other questions that the panel have. And as I mentioned, the architect's also available here for any questions.
Thanks, Ms. Aston. Any questions from panelists? No, I don't think so. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move to the next item now, which is item 4, which I've declared a conflict of interest, so I'll pass over to Elizabeth Kincaid.
Okay, thank you, David. So this is item 4. It's at 19 Napier Street, Dover Heights. It is DA 296/2023/C, and it's for modification to alter the internal layout, windows and a roof terrace garden. We have no objectors registered to speak. We do have the applicant, Taras Mensinski, who is from Kipto Developments, is registered to speak, and I'm happy to provide Taras the 3 minutes if you would like to address the panel. I can see you on my screen. Please proceed.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for the opportunity. And look, I don't have any comments. As I said in my email previously, I was happy to provide commentary if it was required based on any objectors, but as there are no objectors and as we have no objections at all to the recommendations, we have nothing really further to add. We're very happy with the recommendations from council and hope they're considered favourably.
Okay, thank you. I might just see if any of the other panel members have any questions for you. Jessie or Sharon? No questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
David will now rejoin the meeting and he will pick up the chairing for item 5.
Hello, I hope you can hear me this time. Item number 5, DA 271-222B, numbers 34 to 38 Hall Street, Bondi Beach. This is section 4.56 modification for alterations and additions to internal layout to accommodate a second car lift, reconfiguration of ground floor commercial tenancies, increased floor heights, air conditioning units to the roof, and alterations to existing facade. I have 3 registered speakers. The objectors, first objector registered is Adrian Findlay. Mr. Findlay, do you need your presentation?
Yes, thank you. Hopefully you can hear me and see me.
Yes.
Great, and apologise for my voice. I've got a cold, so I'll hopefully get through the next 3 minutes. Great, so thank you very much, panel. My name's Adrian Finlay, speaking on behalf of my parents who own the adjoining heritage property at 15 Concert Avenue, and many residents that objected who couldn't be here today due to the short notice of this meeting with work commitments, family commitments, and travel commitments. I'd like to start by pointing out that Waverley Council spent ratepayer money in the Land and Environment Court to negotiate for a reasonably fair outcome. Now, council officers are recommending approval for amendments that go against the outcomes that they negotiated for. Council officers claim that these amendments and their impacts are minor, but for those of us living here, they are very real. I'd like to address 3 key issues: the height increase, the second car lift, and the commercial access. 1, the height increase. The developer is seeking to breach the height limit by an additional 25 centimetres, despite already exceeding it by 75 centimetres. That will take this DA to 1 metre over the height limit. Council officers suggest that that's okay due to the constraints of the site and that its impacts are minor. They are not minor. This breach is unacceptable due to the increase in bulk and scale, overshadowing, reduction in solar access, and it will directly impact our quality of life. We live with these effects every day, and they are not minor, as the council planning staff will try and have you believe. This must be rejected. 2, the second car lift. The second car lift, which was removed in the Land and Environment Court negotiations, should not be reinstated. Adding it will increase noise, reduce landscaping, and lead to overdevelopment. Council planning has stated that reinstating the car lift is acceptable, given no objections were raised. This is not true. I and other residents objected to it, and the Land and Environment Court removed it during negotiations. I'll also note that surrounding and adjoining developments that have up to 65% more car spaces were approved for and operate just fine with 1 entry. The proposed second lift amounts to overdevelopment and appears to be required for servicing of a grease trap. It will negatively impact our amenity, heritage listed home, the street's character, and the residents and pedestrians' amenity. And finally, commercial access from Consett. We support replacing the commercial pathway and commercial garden area alongside our boundary with landscaping to create a better transition between commercial and residential. However, this level of commercial activity should never have been proposed in the first place, and its removal is not a concession to residents. It is extremely concerning council officers are recommending this amendment, as commercial creep into Consett has been rejected by both council and the Land and Environment Court before, and it should be rejected again. Our street is not zoned for commercial use, and allowing this access undermines the division between residential and commercial areas. The impact on residents' amenity is unacceptable, and commercial access via Consett should be denied. In closing, council's recommendation to approve the amendments was extremely surprising and inexplicable. These amendments disregard the Land and Environment Court's findings that council negotiated. They threaten planning controls and will negatively impact residents, heritage homes, and the character of Bondi Beach. I urge the panel to reject these changes and uphold the integrity of our planning system. Thank you very much, panel.
Thanks, Mr. Finlay, and well done for getting through that in time and with your voice. Any questions for Mr. Finlay from panelists? Don't believe so. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, can I just raise one last thing? One other objector, Paul Peck, who is registered to speak. I believe he provided a video to the panel. I'm not sure if that's working, so I have his speech if you would like me to read that out as well. So please just let me know.
I'll just confirm that Mr. Peach, I do have him as a registered speaker, but was informed that he wouldn't be able to address the panel. The panel has read his submission and can view the video, so I think we're okay in understanding the issues that he's raised.
Thank you. And would you like a copy of his speech that he was going to read out today?
You can. Well, look, for the record, and since he has registered, I am prepared to allow you to read his speech out. But if the same rules, if you can make sure that you keep that to 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's definitely within 3 minutes. So thank you, panel, again. I'm speaking on behalf of Paul Peck, who lives in Consett Avenue and has been a long-time resident. Unfortunately, he's overseas and unable to actually present in person. So I'm reading from his speech. I suspect that some of the members of the panel will already have spotted problems with this DA. Let's start with the 55 square metre commercial area on the ground floor. This completely new element seems to have arrived in the proposal to compensate for the retail space that is being eaten up by the second car stacker, which just a few months back, the applicant agreed to delete. This proposed new commercial area fails absolutely to meet any of Council's DCP criteria for commercial and retail premises. Refer to D1 Commercial and Retail Development, DCP, on pages 248 and 249. The proposed area has no street frontage at all, let alone an active one, and any customers visiting this space would have to use the building's residential entrance to get in and out. Although the planner's report dismisses this problem, the issue of security and privacy would be real, and they need to be addressed by the panel at this stage. Council's planner spotted problems with this commercial space early on and persuaded the applicant to change the proposal to prevent access by patrons of this shop into the communal open space of the back garden, which directly adjoins a heritage home at 15 Concept. This new space contains one additional toilet, so it's perhaps intended to provide extra capacity for a restaurant operation for the smaller Concept Avenue retail unit, something envisaged in the recommendation conditions being proposed by Council. The impact of this on the adjoining residential property would be intolerable. But there's more. This new ground floor commercial space is the reason the air conditioning units now end up on the roof, something which results in halving of the building's solar panels from 30 to just 14. Given this cascade, it is hard also to justify the argument about the second car stacker, that it needs to be reinstated in case the other one breaks down. The Land and Environment Court agreement saw the applicant agree to a single car stacker with a good-sized planter box fronting onto Concept Avenue. In short, this applicant is coming back to Council for a second bite of the cherry. And while Council's assessment seems willing to throw in some ice cream as well, I suggest the panel look closely at these plans, and particularly the ground floor, which if approved, as is, will create the very problems which Council's own instruments have over many decades been crafted to prevent. Some of the modifications here are minor and simply fix issues that have arisen as the project has advanced, but others are serious and need to be resolved before any approvals are granted. That's the end of Paul's speech. So thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay. We have 3 representatives registered for the applicant, Chai Melham, Ben Green, Elliot Dumanis. If one of you could identify yourself and give your presentation, please.
Yes. Good morning, members of the panel. My name is Elliot Dumanis. I'm the consultant town planner speaking on behalf of the applicant and in support of the application. I have here with me Chai Melham and Ben Green, who are the architects who will be available to answer any questions of the panel. We'd like to confirm with the thorough assessment of the council officer's report and the recommendation of approval, along with the accompanying conditions. Importantly, the proposal has been amended during discussions with council to address the issues raised by the public submissions. Just in touching on some of the submissions raised, one in relation to the height, to the building height increase. This is only in relation to a 250mm increase, which is being driven by the floor-to-floor height requirements of the National Construction Code, which came into effect in May 2023. In addition, the relocation of air conditioning units and other equipment to the roof level, which does not exceed the overall building height, the approved building height. It's important to note that these air conditioning units have all been carefully designed and screened so that they will not be visually prominent from neighbouring properties and from the streetscape. In terms of amenity impact, there's the additional height and AC units have been carefully considered that to the neighbour's property, number 15 Concept in particular, that there will be minor additional amenity back to their private open space area. However, this is only limited to between the hours of 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. and to a very minor portion of their private open space area. But it is important to note that this property will still continue to receive 3 hours of solar access to their private open space area and to their north-facing habitable room windows. In touching on the second car lift, this has been implemented to allow in case that the first car lift, in case it breaks down, and it's necessary there's as a fail safe in case that occurs. It's important to know that there will not be any adverse amenity impact as a result of that second car lift to the neighbouring properties, nor to the streetscape. I have no further comments to make, but we are happy to answer any questions of the panel if necessary. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mills. Panelists, any questions? No, I don't believe so. So thank you, Mr. Manus. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is item 6, DA 59-24, number 7, 133 Hastings Parade, North Bondi. Alterations and additions to Unit 7, including new attic with within the existing roof space, with new dormer windows and 2 terraces. I have no objectors registered, but I do have a representative of the applicant, Duncan Sandby, who is here. Mr. Sandby, you wish to make a presentation?
Yes, sorry, can you see me?
We can hear you, we can't see you.
Can't see me. Why can't you see me? I thought you'd switched off my... What about now?
See you now.
There. Yeah, look, I'm just here to answer questions if there are any from the panel. We went through an exhaustive process with council to get where we are, and you know, we're happy with the outcome. Understand the process of where we've ended up, so I'm just here to answer any questions if there are any.
Panelists, any questions, Mr. No. So thank you for making yourself available.
Thanks.
Move on to the next item, item 7, DA 2018-2024, number 8, Wonderland Avenue, Tamarama. Alterations and additions to a dwelling being an extension of the laundry at lower ground level. Again, there are no registered speakers against the application, but I have a representative of the applicant, registered Bevan Boss. Mr. Boss, do you wish to make a presentation?
David, he doesn't seem to be on.
Hold on. Okay. I might call that at the end of the meeting just to, in case he comes on. We'll move to item 8, DA 369 of 2021, B, number 168 to 170 Hastings Parade, North Bondi. Modification to the facade, internal layout, entry, increase to the first floor ensuite, and various other changes. I have no speakers against this item registered. I have a representative of the applicant, Lee Cosnetta and Nicholas Forward. Would either of you wish to identify yourself to presentation?
Thank you, panel chair. I'm Lee Cosnetta. I'm the town planner for the project. Nicholas Forward from SJB is here in attendance if required only. We've reviewed council's report and agree with its assessment and recommendation for conditional approval, noting there were no public objections to the proposal, and considering the recommendation, we're simply here to be available for questions if you have any.
Thank you. Panelists, any questions? Captain? No? So thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Move to the next item, item 9, DA 2012-2024, number 9, Rodney Street, Dover Heights. Change of use from dual occupancy to dwelling house and various other alterations. Again, there are no objectors registered. I have a representative of the applicant or representatives, Helena Rubinstein and Bitter Jaraz Goslow, and I'm sorry I mangled that name. Would either of you wish to identify yourself and present to the panel?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members of the panel. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Again, my name is Helena Rubinstein. I'm a consultant planner, and I'm speaking on behalf of the applicant in support of the DA. I'll try to keep this very brief. Firstly, we concur with the assessment contained in the Council Officer's report, the recommendation for approval, and accept the conditions of consent. The proposal is simply a change of use from a dual occupancy to a dwelling house within R2 zone land. The physical built works are limited to the internal area, and there is no change to the existing height, bulk and scale or streetscape appearance. There is an FSR breach, but that's a consequence of how the gross floor area is calculated between dwelling houses and dual occupancies. And we note that Council's planner has assessed that there will be no change to the building envelope and has supported the clause 4.6 variation. Importantly, there'll be no changes to the levels of amenity currently enjoyed by neighbouring development. So it's for these reasons that we hope that the panel considers that the proposal is worthy of approval. Thank you.
Very much. Panelists, any questions? Applicant? No? Well, thank you very much. So available. Move to item 10, DA 185 2024, number 73 to 79 Penkerville Road, Bondi. Again, no registered objectors. Representative of the owner, George Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd, are you there and identify yourself and make a presentation?
He is there.
Mr. Lloyd? Mr. Lloyd, are you able to join the meeting? I might come back unless council staff are you aware of the issue with Mr. Lloyd did?
I think he's got his computer on mute.
Mr. Lloyd, are you able to make yourself heard? Like we'll move on to the next item, and I'll come back to Mr. Lloyd if he's able to get on. So item 11, DA 381 in 2024, 44 Bennett Street, Waverley. Alteration and additions to the existing residential flat building to replace balcony doors and existing balustrades with new glass balustrades. Those works also include the reconstruction of the balcony slab to unit number 7. I have no speakers registered for this item. So I will move back to item 10, just to see whether Mr. Lloyd has had any.
No, I can't. You can't hear me, can you?
I can hear you. We can hear you now.
Okay. You can. Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Chair. Can I speak to the item regarding Penkerville
Yes,
Street?
you can.
Okay. Look, thank you very much for this opportunity. Much appreciated. We don't have anything to add beyond the report that has been prepared, which is obviously a favourable recommendation. I've just been engaging with one of my colleagues on this project, and we've been discussing one of the conditions of consent that is proposed to be imposed as part of the recommendation. Can I perhaps take the panel to condition number 12, please?
Yes, you can speak to that.
Thank you very much. Well, the advice that I've received only just in the last few minutes pertains to the requirement to provide a certificate of adequacy for the entire building in situ as it exists at the moment, which we would say is unreasonable and unnecessary, having regard to obviously the extent of works that would be required to provide engineering certification and the costs involved for a building that's in existence at the moment, having regard to as compared to the nature or the extent of the proposed the extent of the proposed alterations to the existing building, which are effectively aluminium framed windows. We would like to suggest that perhaps the panel now or later rely upon perhaps its own internal expert advice to perhaps changing the wording in that condition where it would pertain to not the existing building, but to the proposed works. We don't have a problem with producing the necessary engineering or fire rating paperwork or certificates, whatever is necessary for the additional works that are proposed to the building. But we just think that having to prepare structural adequacy reports and getting an engineer on site to go through the entire building, which is going to take probably around about a month and a cost of tens of thousands of dollars, doesn't really achieve any real purpose for the net gain of what we're proposing in this proposal as far as the extent of the works in relationship to the building is concerned.
Is that all you wish to raise, Mr. Lloyd?
I beg your pardon?
Is that all you wish to raise?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, thank you. Well, certainly the panel will take your request into consideration when it's deliberating on the item.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Were there any other questions of Mr. Lloyd from panelists? Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Apologies for the sound issue.
Happens to the best of us, so don't worry.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Okay, I'll just check. From memory, I think it was Mr. Boss in relation to item 7, who wasn't available. Can I just call again, Mr. Boss? Are you there? Council staff? Any sign of Mr. Boss?
No sign, and he's been called.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, that now concludes the public part of the today's meeting. The panel will now, I'll close the meeting, and the panel will now deliberate on all of the items, taking into consideration all of the presentations we've heard today and all the written submissions that were received and the council reporting. Thank you for your attendance and participation today, and I'll formally close this part of the meeting.
Sorry. Hello, Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
It's Mr. Buss. Sorry, I couldn't get the phone to unlock. Sorry to interrupt, and I actually don't really have any comment. We're happy with the recommendations for the application, and was just on hand if there were any questions.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. I will just check whether there's any of the panelists who wish to ask any questions of you. No, okay. No, thank you for.
Thank you very much. Sorry for that.
No, that's fine. Okay. Again, I'll now close this part of the meeting. Thank you again.